Thomas and his friends have been made available in many different sizes and scales. Electric models of the characters have been produced by many companies for different gauges. Some companies span different gauges, but only one company produces Thomas for the O-scale world. Welcome everyone to a review of Lionel's infamous and entire Thomas and Friends range. 6 engines, 6 reviews, let's get this show on the road. Hi everyone, thomasdotd here, back again with another review. Today we are continuing the Lionel review series with an O-gauge representation of Diesel. Like my James model, I have Diesel in his starter set with the loop of track and his 2 add-on cars. This was an incredibly difficult model to find, and I have to thank my friend Jay for grabbing it for me when he did. I would not be reviewing this item right now if it wasn't for him. Presentation is what sells an item, and before we start looking at the model, I have to praise the box. Starter sets are a great way to get people who don't know anything about model railroading to understand everything. You are shown everything that is important and included in this box with cutouts displaying the models. That famous blue box with yellow lining is as present as ever and really makes everything come together. Once opening the box, you'll see the model sits snug inside a block of styrofoam and is held in tightly by a plastic protective overlay. You will find an operator's manual for Diesel floating around inside the box, and it's worth a read as it's always important to know how to maintain your models. Now with all that out of the way, let's take a look at Diesel. And here he is, free from his styrofoam prison. As I've mentioned before, the Lionchief Thomas and Friends models depict the engines with their CG-styled faces from the TV show, and Diesel is no exception. But the point of contention here is the fact that Diesel is depicted as looking happy and cheerful, which is not in character for Diesel? I think it's important to remember that these models keep up to date with the current era of the show. When I was younger, Diesel was depicted as a rude, almost villain-type character. But nowadays, he's just a funny character who likes playing tricks, so regardless of what you think of the face design, this is Diesel now, and it's pretty accurate to how Diesel is now. Truth be told, I like this new sculpt of his face as opposed to the old face the original conventional control Diesel had. Moving on to the rolling stock, Diesel comes with a Sodor-line caboose and an Enofa quarry car. The detailing on these cars always impresses me. I love the wood plank look on them and adore the addition of molded stone being put in the car. The printing is also really well done and looks very good quality. Diesel is an often overlooked model in this range, but should be looked into more because he's actually one of the best. Diesel's overall shape and proportions are borderline spot on. He has rivets on his caps and detailing on the front. His ladders are part of the mold rather than separately fitted, but honestly, I'm okay with that. That's one less thing that could potentially break off of this model. Diesel is depicted with molded brake pipe detail absent from the other engines in this range, and has properly detailed and correctly sized buffers! Yes! If you have been watching my review series since the first video, you would know I complain a lot about details like these. But Diesel's buffer beam looks just fantastic, and really shows Lionel learned new things with every model they made. I know people see these as just little details that don't matter, but compare the detail on Diesel's buffers to Thomas's buffers, which are just tiny nubs, and you'll see that detail does go a long way. Details, proportions, paint application, everything's looking great. Except for one thing. Sadly, Diesel's chassis is not accurate. In the show, Diesel is depicted with external side rods, meaning the rods that move the wheels are located on the outside of the chassis. The Lionel Diesel model unfortunately does not incorporate this into the design, and instead keeps Diesel's rods on the inside of the unit. I don't like nitpicking, but to be honest, this is a huge letdown, because if this was just changed to be more accurate, then this would absolutely be one of the best Diesel models for sale on the market in any scale. It's a real shame this detail was glanced over. Anyways, with all that out of the way, it's time to put Diesel on the track. But Diesel won't be going anywhere without this. This is the Lionchief controller for Diesel. For color coordination, and to not get the remote confused for any other engine remotes you may have, Diesel's remote is painted black while Thomas, James, and Percy have blue, red, and green remotes respectively. This remote is important as this is how you control your engines. They are not transformer controlled. To get the remote working, simply take off the back cover and pop in 3 AAA batteries. Put the cover back on, flip the switch on, and you're ready to go. If you listen closely, you'll hear that when Diesel is idle sitting on the tracks, he makes idle engine revving noises that real trains do. It's great they didn't just give him the same noises as the steam engines. That's a really nice detail. Your remote should be shining this red light. That means the controller is on and everything's working. The remote has 3 buttons and 1 knob-like arrow in the center. The arrow is what you use to put Diesel in forward and reverse. As for the buttons, they control the different sounds Diesel can make. Diesel has a horn, a bell, and an announcement from Sir Topham Hatt. Let's take a listen. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The addition of sounds on these models really helps them come to life. Let's just run Diesel back and forth to see if he's working. Alright, looks like everything's set to go, so let's couple Diesel up to his cars and watch him run back and forth on my layout. As Diesel runs across the tracks, you'll see his eyes move side to side like my James and Percy models. So, in conclusion, what do I think of the Lionel Diesel? Well, have you ever heard the phrase, "so close"? Well, that's how I feel about Diesel. The outside rods may seem like something excusable, but to be honest, when the rest of the model looks this good, it missing that little detail throws the whole thing off. Perhaps it can be modified, but who knows, that would require a good amount of work. However, if you can look past that issue, then without a doubt I have to say Diesel is one of the best models in the entire range. I still think Percy is the best model in the range, but Diesel is a close second. The chassis has the correct amount of wheels, the sounds he makes are fine, his face looks great, and his overall build is sturdy and quality. But do I recommend Diesel? Yes, absolutely. This is a fantastic model that has metal couplers and pulls heavy trains easily. For Thomas and Friends fans, he is an essential classic character. And yes, I would even go as far as to say that any O-gauge modeler looking for a bit of British on their layouts should definitely pick this up. Diesel is based off of a real diesel engine in real life, referred to as the Class 08. If you were to remove the face and replace it with a realistic grille or vents or something, then this model would look very realistic and would make a great shunter on the layout. All in all, you can't go wrong with Diesel, and he is a model that should be on many people's sets. Despite some flaws, fantastic job, Lionel. This is a great model. But unfortunately, this looks to be the end of the series. My goal was to review the basic models of all the engines in the Lionel Thomas and Friends range. We covered the Steamies, and we covered the Diesel. Looks like everything is wrapping up. Hey, wait a minute. Who are those 2 engines up ahead? Uh-oh, here comes trouble. Join me again next time as I review the 2 biggest troublemakers on any layout. This has been thomasdotd, and I hope to see you all again very soon.